Welcome back to Coin Nexa Vault. Before we get into today's coins, I need you to understand something. The nickels sitting in your change jar right now are not all created equal, and some of them carry secrets that the mint never intended to release to the public. Every single coin we're covering today has a real, documented reason collectors hunt for it specifically, and I can promise you this. The last coin on today's list is the one that will make you drop everything and go check your collection the moment this video ends. Let's start with the 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel, and here's what most people get completely wrong about this coin. They assume that because it's modern, because it's common, because it's just a nickel, it isn't worth checking. That assumption has cost real people real money, and today we're going to make sure you're not one of them. The 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a period of enormous production volume, and high-volume years are exactly when quality control slips, when dies get overused, when tiny anomalies make it through inspection, and into your pocket. What you're looking for on this coin is the condition of Monticello on the reverse, specifically, the fine architectural lines on the columns of the building. On a heavily circulated example, those lines blur and flatten. But on a coin that was struck cleanly, stored carefully, and never spent, those columns are razor sharp with individual steps visible at the base of the building, and the field around Monticello has a reflective, almost mirror-like quality. Flip the coin over and check the obverse. Jefferson's hair above his ear is another key spot. Look at the individual strands just above and behind the ear. On a worn coin, that area is a smooth, featureless blob. On a high-grade survivor, you can see each strand distinctly, and that detail tells a grader everything they need to know about how this coin was handled across its lifetime. Now, the Philadelphia Mint didn't include a mint mark on coins during this era. The absence of a mint mark is the identifier, so don't go hunting for a P stamped into the metal, because it isn't there. What you're hunting for is perfect, untouched surfaces. A 1988 P. Jefferson Nickel certified MS65 by PCGS or NGC has sold in the range of several $100s. And as you push into MS66 and MS67 territory, that number climbs meaningfully. Top-tier examples in MS67 have crossed into the low thousands at auction, because finding a 1988 P with fully struck steps and flawless fields and no contact marks is genuinely difficult, despite the coin's reputation as common. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these in 1988, which sounds like it should make high-grade examples easy to find. But it actually works against you because high mintage means high circulation, and high circulation means almost all of them got spent, dropped, shuffled through cash registers, and banged up long before anyone thought to set one aside. Condition, certification by PCGS or NGC, and the presence of those fully struck steps on the reverse are what separate a spendable nickel from a collector's prize. But as interesting as the 1988 P is, what's coming next in this video is a coin from the same series, same denomination, but carrying a story that goes to a completely different level, one that coin dealers actually whisper about when it comes up. Next, 1972 Jefferson Nickel, and I want to challenge you right now before we go any further, because if you have any coin jars, any old rolls, any inherited collections from the early 70s, you need to stop this video, go get them, and come back, because the 1972 Jefferson Nickel has a detail hiding on it that the vast majority of people have never once thought to check. Here's what makes 1972 different. This was a transitional year for die quality at the Mint, a year when production pressures were high and certain dies were pushed past their ideal lifespan, and the result was a population of coins with striking inconsistencies that created varieties collectors now actively seek out. The most important thing to examine on your 1972 Jefferson Nickel is the date itself. Look at the spacing between the digits, specifically between the 1 and the 9, and between the 7 and the 2. On a standard example, the spacing is even and unremarkable. But on certain 1972 nickels, the relationship between those digits and the rim of the coin tells you something about the die state it was struck from, and die state varieties from this year carry real collector premiums that most people walk right past. Then turn the coin to the reverse and examine those steps at the base of Monticello again, the same feature we discussed on the 88p, but carrying far more weight here because full steps examples from 1972 are considerably scarcer than from the late 80s. The mint's priorities in 1972 were volume, not perfection, and full steps on a 1972 nickel represent a coin that somehow survived the striking process with complete, unbroken step lines, clear and distinct from bottom to top of the staircase. To find this, hold the coin at a low angle under a single light source. A desk lamp or a phone flashlight works perfectly, and tilt it slowly. The steps, if present, will catch the light in sharp, separated lines. If the steps blend together or fade toward the edges, that's a heavily struck or worn example, and while still a nice coin, it doesn't carry the same premium. A 1972 Jefferson Nickel with full step certification at MS65 has brought several $100s at auction, and MS66 FS examples have pushed well into the four-figure range. Serious money for a coin most people would spend on a candy bar without a second thought. The 1972 nickel was struck at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, so you'll want to check the mint mark on the reverse near the Monticello image. The S-mint proof strikes are their own separate conversation entirely, with cameo contrast examples being among the most visually striking proof nickels of the entire era. But for circulation finds, the Philadelphia and Denver strikes are your primary targets, and condition is everything. As always, third-party certification through PCGS or NGC is what locks in that value and makes the coin sellable to serious collectors. Now, I've saved the absolute best for last today, and if the 1972 Jefferson Nickel already has you reconsidering the coins sitting in your collection, wait until you hear what we just covered, because everything we've talked about today is pointing you in the right direction to understand one thing. The most valuable coins are almost always the ones hiding in the most ordinary places, and that truth applies to every single coin we've covered today. If you've got a coin like any of these sitting at home, drop a comment and let me know. And if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you never miss the next one.